Devonta Jones, Pro Football Hall of Famer, top 100.
Tyler Lockett from the Seattle Seahawks.
DK Metcalf from
Nate Burleson. You're watching NorbCam.
NorbCam.
You're watching NorbCam.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is NorbCam coming at you on this Saturday afternoon. Glad you're joining me here today. I am opening up the lines for you guys who want to participate in this conversation. I see the people in the chat blowing it up. RK Izaniak, YGC, Beanie Sports Channel Kid, what's up? Isler 34, Arena, Milan Vijevsky, Brandon, Sosa's Beat by Jessica. Hey, what's up? Fun Squad, Tyler Parcher, Seattle and Golden State fan, and Kate, and the rest of you guys. Thank you for coming in. Seahawks Martin, of course, you'll be hearing from him shortly. We are going to be talking about this ever-growing strange case, the bizarre case of Quinton Dunbar and Deandre Baker and the robbery that was or wasn't. We're going to kind of talk about that, and I'm going to be bringing in my special guest to talk about it today. But just as a reminder, keep on putting your stuff in the chats. We'll try to take a look at it and answer questions you might have. Super chats are always helpful. They definitely get our attention. And also, we are taking calls today. Where's the phone number? There's the phone number right there. 515-606-5121, area code. The code is 696-153 if you want to call in and talk about it. We're going to try to get everything in here in this next hour or so. So without further ado, I want to bring on my friends who are always with me every Wednesday. But today on this special Saturday, because it is a breaking news event here going on, I want to bring these gentlemen on. They are my expertise. They are my experts, my compadres here in the internet world. Here they are. Welcome, Calvin Domingo, a.k.a. at Steezy Way. We've got Seahawks Martin up there in the house. And, of course, Noah, the Boelter, also known as DJ Squabo. How you guys doing today, gentlemen?
Very good.
Doing very well. Feeling as always.
All right. So, real quick, just before we jump into this, I just want to give you guys a chance to quickly introduce yourselves. You guys have been on here regularly, but we always have some new people who haven't joined the show before. So for those of you who are joining our show for the first time, I do want you to get to know our guests a little bit. So, Noah, why don't you start, and a quick, brief introduction about who you are and what you guys do.
I am a student at Green River College right now. I'm going off to a 4-year. Wazoo is one of the options this fall that I'm looking at, and I'm a sports major, sports broadcasting major. That's my goal, is to get into sports broadcasting. I do a radio talk show every single week with Calvin, who's, I'm not sure if he's up, down, left, or right, but with Calvin, and every single week we talk sports from 10 to 1 on Saturdays. You can tune in live from anywhere with the KGRG app, and I also post daily videos with my hot topics on the world of sports.
Calvin is to your right, by the way, just so you know.
Right.
So, Calvin, toss it to you. Calvin, real quick, tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
All right, so in addition to that, I'm also the sports editor at Highland College, write newspapers about sports. And then for my YouTube, at Steezy Smith, I post weekly videos, NBA, NFL, in addition to the Bolt podcast with Noah. So be sure to follow me, Steezy Smith, and don't forget Noah, DJ Squabo, DJ Squabo.
All right, and I do have you guys your links in the description, so if you want to check out their information on their YouTube channels and podcast, just go to the link and check it out. But last but certainly not least, Seahawks Martin. Martin, tell the folks a little bit about you. You are the youngest member of this panel right here, but not to let his young age fool you. He's a very smart, educated Seahawks fan who knows almost every word to my lyrics. So for that, I give him props. Martin, tell the folks about yourself a little bit.
Obviously, you guys know my channel is called Seahawks Martin. I am currently on the chat right now talking to you guys, but obviously you guys know I have a channel. I'm getting very close to 300. I'm just a 12-year-old who just loves to talk sports. And I mean, well, my parents call me the football encyclopedia. And I mean, I just can't stop talking sports. It's basically everything I look forward to on a Sunday. And yeah.
All right. Yeah, is right. The Encyclopedia Britannica, known as Seahawks Martin. Quick shout out to the super chat flight in June. Thanks for following my Instagram. No problem. I'm happy to do it. You love your channel, Norb. Thank you so much. All right. So without further ado, let's get into this Quinton Dunbar, Deandre Baker story. You guys, I was listening to your show earlier today, so I know you were talking a little bit about this morning on your show. But the situation seems to be changing by the minute. Let me just read, I guess, the somewhat latest summary of what's happened here. So Baker and Dunbar turned themselves in after they had arrest warrants issued, and to the Miramar Police Department after warrants were issued for their arrest on armed robbery charges stemming from a May 13th incident. Baker was booked by the Broward County Sheriff's Office on Saturday and is being held pending a bond hearing. And an arrest warrant had been out for Baker and Dunbar since Thursday. They've been kind of, I don't know, in hiding or whatever it is. They hadn't turned themselves in. Allegedly, the warrant was because they allegedly had stolen $12,400 in cash and 4 watches valued at a total of $61,100 and have been armed with semi-automatic firearms in this robbery at this party gone awry. So both have been charged with 4 counts of armed robbery, while Baker has also been charged with 4 counts of aggravated assault with a firearm. And according to Baker's lawyer, now this is where it gets interesting. So first of all, the story comes out. These guys look guilty and makes no. It just seems like the craziest, dumbest thing to do. Then they're hiding out. Then the lawyers start to come out, and now both lawyers are kind of saying, hold on a second. Reports are correct that Deandre turned himself in this morning. And this is according to the lawyer. I am a believer in the system that if everything works, the matter will be appropriately resolved, said Baker's lawyer in a statement on Instagram. Both my client and I have felt that Miramar Police Department and the detective working the case were accommodating and went out of their way to assure Mr. Baker's privacy during this time. This is not just lip service, it is fact, and we appreciate it. His was, pretty matter-of-factly, didn't say too much in that statement. However, as a Seahawks fan, Dunbar's lawyer, Michael Greco, was a little bit more strong in his words. He says, in my 20-year criminal justice career, I have rarely ever seen an injustice like this. Quinton has never been in trouble before, which is true, and to think he's now sitting in jail risking his health during a pandemic due to recanted false allegations makes me sick. This is when the prosecutors can correct the wrongs committed by police. Police's rush to judgment. Both lawyers issued these statements on Friday, claiming their client's innocence. So that's kind of the background to the case. I know you guys talked about it a little bit on your show. I just want to get your initial reactions, guys, to where we are now and where you're swaying on this. Do you feel like this is a total misunderstanding, some fabrication, and these guys are innocent, or have we just scratched the surface on this? Calvin, let's start with you.
To be honest, I think they're being set up or something like that. I don't truly believe they're guilty. I believe that they're only turning themselves in because they know they're innocent. And I feel that like you said, his lawyer, he's been very adamant about what he's saying about Dunbar's freedom. And I don't know, there's something about it. I believe him. And I believe that, once again, he's only turning himself in because he knows he's innocent. So he knows it's not going to last very long, and he'll be good in no time.
Noah, how about you? What's your thought on this case so far?
Well, Calvin, I really like how you said the fact innocent until proven guilty, right? Like you got to start off by giving them the benefit of the doubt. Based on how this situation fell apart, though, and kind of what I know about these guys in their history, Deandre Baker, and I'm not here to accuse him of the crime. I'm just stating facts that I know and connecting the thoughts based on what we've heard about the story. Deandre Baker allegedly was the ringleader behind this whole thing, right? Like, he was the guy with the gun, whereas he was ordering Dunbar to do certain things and like to grab all the money and to take it and everything, while Baker was the one behind it. And I hate to say it, but being completely honest, I can see a little bit more, that makes more sense to me than if they were both kind of hand in hand. The reason being, Deandre Baker, all the way high school, on every single level, high school, college, and the NFL. Teams in the NFL draft last year took him off the board because of attitude problems. That's why he was able to fall so low, and why the Giants were able to get their hands on him. And then he got to the NFL, didn't perform as well as he wanted to last year. He's had attitude problems the whole way along, immaturity issues, and so as the picture is starting to get painted a little bit more. I understand we're still very early on, and I'm not saying that he did it 100%, but I'm saying I could see, as the picture is getting painted, I could see him having more of a role than Dunbar, and I'm not just saying that because I'm a Seahawks fan.
Oh yeah, real quick, I'm not saying that that Deandre is not guilty. I'm just saying Dunbar's guilty. I mean, not guilty, innocent. innocent. But I think that Baker, Deandre Baker, I feel like he's guilty, and I feel like Dunbar's just, like I said earlier, either being set up or being misplaced with someone else. But Deandre Baker, I definitely feel like he's guilty. I feel like Dunbar's the one who's innocent.
All right, I want to get more in depth on that concept, but first, Martin, I want to get your take, the 12-year-old encyclopedia take on this whole thing.
I mean, I'm still trying to get through it all. It's pretty crazy how all of this has happened in a couple days. I feel like since the Baker had more of those counts, like what was it? Aggravated assault with like a weapon or something like that. And then firearm, and then it seemed like a lot of people are saying that he's the ringleader. He's the guy who started the whole thing. I feel like Noah and Calvin were talking on their show that it could have been Dunbar just like being forced into doing it for Baker, but at this point, I know a lot of witnesses are saying that it wasn't Dunbar, and I am fingers crossed that it really was not Dunbar. And if it's Baker, then he deserves to go to jail. But if Dunbar was involved, then it's still guilty until what am I saying? Innocent until proven guilty. But fingers crossed that Dunbar will be okay, and hopefully this whole thing just blows over, because it's still getting really weird. It's still kind of weird.
So Calvin and Noah, so the idea that Dunbar was somehow set up, it seems like Baker is seems to be the guy, the most likely suspect who started this whole thing, and that Dunbar's innocence maybe is a little bit stronger case, although his lawyer for Baker seems to say otherwise. How would you see, what is the scenario where you think that Dunbar had nothing to do with this and would be truly innocent? What's the setup concept here on how this would have played out in your guys' mind? I don't know if you guys have the same story in mind or you have different takes, but you guys tell me, and you can share with me what your different takes are on that. Calvin first.
So for me, I initially thought they were close growing up, but then I read a conflicting report that said that they weren't tight. And I think that's what, what's his name? Dunbar's lawyer, that's what he said. He said, oh, they're not tight at all. And so I'm imagining that maybe Baker, he saw Dunbar at the party, and he was like, hey, we're from the same area. We both made it. Like, are you in? Or maybe he was, asking him something like that. And so I just feel like with Dunbar, he knows he's about to get paid. He was pretty good last year. The only concern with him is our injury concerns. And so he knows that he's about to get paid. So why would he participate in something like this? And I feel like even if he was, why not wear a mask? Like I said, he knows he's about to get paid. He's a familiar face. They're both from the area, and they both played for big colleges. And so they know that people know them. And so maybe Baker, he does have a history of anger issues or something like that. Noah, that's correct me if I'm wrong. You said something about like that early on the show.
Yeah.
And maybe Baker was the one who kind of lashed out, or who kind of met him and said like, hey, help me out or something like that. I don't know. I just feel like because Baker has that history, I feel like you guys said, he's a ringleader and he's the one who kind of organized everything. He tried to get them to help him out, and that's kind of where I stand on that.
Well, how I feel about it, so there's plausible deniability here for Quinton Dunbar, where there's not for the other two, including Deandre Baker and the guy, because remember there was a third accomplice that wore a red face mask, and allegedly Deandre Baker told that individual to shoot someone. So I agree with a lot of what Calvin had to say. I don't agree with everything, and here's why. So remember now, these are two guys, so a little bit of backstory. Both of these guys grew up in the same town in Miami, right? They went to different high schools. They did it at different times and ended up going to different colleges. But when you make it to the NFL the way that both of these guys have done so, and you got different guys from your area, that's when you start to connect. Like, hey, we both made it successfully. Let's start to become friends. Where I disagree with Calvin is I don't think they just met each other at the party. What I think happened was, remember the fact about the reports prior that they allegedly a couple nights ago on May 13th, I believe the date was, they lost $70,000 gambling. On that night as well, I believe that was more of a house party situation, and it was through a myriad of different games, so card games, I'm talking dice, I'm talking all sorts of different games. They lost a whole bunch of money. There was a report on that night that Deandre Baker flipped a table out of anger and pulled out a firearm because of it. So I think a couple nights ago, that makes Baker look even worse. And then the fact that they come back, the plausible deniability comes in. You saw in the report how they said there were 3 cars lined up, extremely fancy and ready to get away in a hurry. Well, I'll tell you this much. Anyone who's grown up in a situation, and I'm not trying to say I've been raised in the streets, but I know anyone in a situation that's been through something like that, where it wasn't always guaranteed your safety as a child or as a young person. You'll know whenever you go to a party anyways, you want to park facing out so that you can leave quick. So that's plausible deniability. You could say that doesn't convict them necessarily. What isn't deniable is the fact that Deandre Baker, if he really had a gun. Quinton Dunbar was said to never have had a gun. And there's conflicting reports about that. And then the third guy, why did you have a red ski mask? So 2 of them, including Baker, I think they have a lot more to be concerned about. But Dunbar, here's his way out, right? So a couple nights ago, he was hanging out with Baker. They lost a whole bunch of money together. You could say that it wasn't planned for this to happen. Deandre Baker pulled out the gun, and once someone brings a gun to the situation, it doesn't matter if they're your friend or not, you're doing what they say. So if he's telling you, as Quinton Dunbar, to go take some people's money, and he has a semi-automatic weapon in his hands, I'm doing what he says, and I'm putting my hands up. I don't care. Like, you got to do what he's saying. And so that's going to be Dunbar's angle out from what I can see right now, is the fact that, like, okay, even if you were a part of this, like, it wasn't your intention, and then you drove off because you were just scared of everything going on. I also didn't like the fact that the following morning he has a press conference and he acted like none of it had ever happened. And so I'm not sure exactly where he's going to lie on that side of things. I don't know if he planned on getting away with the whole thing, but what I do know is that out of everyone in the situation, as far as I know, Dunbar has the best chance of getting off, and it's because he has conflicting reports about if he had a weapon or not. I don't think he had a weapon. I think Baker's the one with the weapon. Baker's the one that told the other dude, the third accomplice with the red face mask, to shoot somebody. So Baker's in a lot of trouble. Dunbar might have a chance to get off.
Well, and that's based on the report. The initial police report said all those things, but now both attorneys are saying they both have sworn affidavits saying that all of that stuff didn't happen, that their clients are both innocent, including Baker, from his attorney. So it'll be interesting to find out as this case rolls on, is that with Dunbar, they have the lawyer has 5 signed affidavits saying he was not involved in here. Now, I don't know who those 5 people are. Were they 5 people somewhere else with an alibi saying he was someplace else, or was it 5 new statements from the same people who were there? Because the same 5 people said one thing at the police report, and now we're hearing 5 totally different statements. Are they the same people? Are they different people? You know, you start to wonder, is there more to this? Could there be even a fabrication where they weren't even there? Was this just made out to be something that these, whoever these people were, just accused them of it, and they weren't actually at the scene of the crime? I mean, I guess those are the things we'll have to find out. They obviously weren't at the scene of the crime when the police showed up because they had already taken off. So whoever was there could have made up any story they wanted to, right? Theoretically, if they all got together and say, hey, man, let's just blame Dunbar and Baker and say this masked guy did it. I mean, theoretically, they could tell the police whatever they want. But in the end, at some point, you would think this missing jewelry, this missing cash, I think you brought that up in your show. At some point, the smoking gun, that evidence is going to will have to show up somewhere, you would think, and become, at least proof as to that these guys were actually involved in it, and not just, statements by the people without any kind of actual evidence or proof. So, and you'd think that maybe somebody would have some photos, some video. And these days, right, it seems like everyone's got a camera shot of something, a door ring, to prove that they're there. So I feel like this is just the tip of the iceberg in this crazy Law and Order type of TV drama playing out right now. What's your guys' take right now? Obviously, we only know so much, but what do you think? Do you feel like Dunbar is going to be able to play as a Seahawk in uniform come game one for the 2020 season? I'm going to start with Martin. Martin, what do you think?
I am not very confident about that. Considering what has happened, I mean, he's on 4 counts of, armed robbery, right? That is really big. And so, I mean, usually most players get suspended like 4 games just for a PED suspension. But this is like a whole nother level. I feel like he might be suspended even longer than that because of what he's done. Armed robbery is a pretty bad type of crime. But I mean, fingers crossed. I sure hope that he will be able for game one. But if not, then yikes.
Okay. Noah, what's your take? Do you think he's going to be in uniform first game of the season?
This is a painful question, Norb. Unfortunately, I can't see it. You talk about not only the armed robbery, but it's grand larceny too. It's more than $10,000. It's a lot of money that's potentially or that was stolen allegedly here, and so it's also based on the times that we're in. And it's even if he had nothing to do with it, he wasn't even there. They're making up this story. They're targeting him because of who he is and what he's capable of. Well, it's still going to take a couple of months for even the first court date because of not only COVID-19, the jail system is stretched right now. They're trying to do whatever they can to keep people safe in there, and that's what the lawyer's complaining about with Quinton Dunbar. I can't see them getting this whole thing resolved to the point where Quinton Dunbar can come and play for Seattle, especially with the fact that even when he comes back, the unsurety of the NFL season, it's not like there's a specific date when the season will start. We have a date that we think it's going to start. We don't know that yet, so it's going to be one of those things. As it drags on, we're going to know more, but right now, we cannot count on having Dunbar back by the start of this year.
Calvin, do you share the same thought?
I actually don't. I'm going to stand by his innocence. Like I said, his lawyer was very adamant about what he was saying. And I just truly believe that the witnesses, I think, Norm, to go off of what True was saying, maybe they said one thing and now they're trying to say another. Maybe he wasn't actually. Maybe they were trying to sabotage him. I don't know. Who knows? I just think that everything about the story is pretty fishy. And so that's why I'm going to stand by his innocence. I think that I prefer to just wait, maybe I guess the next couple of days to really, if there's anything that'll change my stance in the next couple of days, then so be it. But I think for now, I'm going to stand by his innocence. And I think that he does play come week 1. Well,
that's the glass half full view for sure, and I hope you're right. I think all of us Seahawks fans are hoping that would be the case. But he's definitely got an uphill battle ahead of him. Let's go see what the callers have to say about this situation. Let's find out what. Let's see what. Anonymous. Who's this? Where are you calling from? Hello, you there? Not there. Uh-oh. Oh, it's one of these things again. All right. We'll try this again and get this thing figured out. In the meantime, while I'm waiting for getting this the phone line stuff worked out here, let's switch topics just a little bit here while we're anticipating. Well, actually, no, I want to more change on different angles. So let's assume the worst, and he's not available, or that the Seahawks don't think he's going to be available. What do you think the Seahawks should do in anticipation of recent events? If they're going to expect that he will not be, what do you think we do? We roll with Trey Flowers, or do we think we have to get somebody else? Let me go back to Martin. Martin, what do you think?
I'd say, I know a lot of people are going to hate me on this, but I believe in Trey Flowers. I know a lot of people saying, "Oh yeah, he blew the game for us. Oh, he sucks. Oh, he's not good enough." But I believe in him. Just because he blew something doesn't mean he's not that bad. It's just one play. You guys are like overshadowing him for all his bad plays. Have you even seen how good he is? And also, I mean, he had to transition from a free safety to a cornerback, so that's a pretty big type of transition. I just believe in him, and I hope that he can step up this year. And if he doesn't, I'll be happy with that. But for now, I'd be relying on Quinton Dunbar if he hadn't gotten into all this trouble. But I trust Trey Flowers. I know a lot of people don't, but for me, I think that he has a shot. This is probably his final chance, but I mean, I think he can.
Okay, I see Noah shaking his head over there. Noah, what's your thought moving forward? What do we got to do to make up for the potential loss of Dunbar here?
Anyone but Trey Flowers. No. So I say we do what we should have done a long time ago anyways. And I've been on top of this since before we brought in Quinton Dunbar. I really like the fact that we brought in Quinton Dunbar. I think he has an opportunity to be the next Richard Sherman if he finds his way back on the field. But a guy that I was looking at anyways, and we just cleared up a whole bunch of cap space. You guys are going to know what name I'm talking about. Logan Ryan is still a free agent. He led the team in tackles last year as a corner. He could come in and have an instant impact for Seattle. He could shut down a whole side, play a very similar role that Quinton Dunbar was going to play, except he's more established already, and we'd be paying him up front. I think it's absolutely worth it now. We're at a horrible situation, and I was talking about this on the show with Quinton Dunbar. The fact of the matter is, to lose somebody this late in the game in terms of the overall offseason, after the draft, after free agency, there's not a lot of guys left on the board. That's why you go after a guy that was still trying to figure out what his money is worth. We became a desperate franchise as soon as Quinton Dunbar started going through all this. We don't know what's going to happen with him, but that's why I say we can't rely on him, is because we don't know what's going on. What we do know is that we have some holes to fill, and that's why I say we go after Logan Ryan.
I'd say Logan Ryan is definitely a name that I think people have been throwing out there as someone they would love to have in here, especially if we can't get Dunbar on the field. All right, we're going to try this again. I'm going to try to see if we can get these callers on the line. Let's try for this anonymous caller. Anonymous caller, are you in the house? Wait a second. Okay.
NorbCam.
We got him. Okay, who's this? Where are you calling from?
Hey, I'm calling from New York. I'm a Giants fan. That's the whole reason I'm watching the stream.
Oh, a Giants fan. That's good. Okay, and what's your name?
Michael.
Oh, you're Mike. Okay, I saw you, Michael. You were in the chat. Okay, so Michael, you know this a little bit closer since you are a Giants fan. What can you tell us about the player Deandre Baker? First of all, background info about him. What do you know about him?
Well, I don't really pay attention to the college stuff, but all I know from seeing Baker on the field in the league is that he's a really hard worker. He's one of our best people in the secondary, and he's like willing to put in his all. And I mean, I think he did do this because he just got it over with and he turned himself in. Yeah. So, I mean, but his lawyers are saying that he's innocent, but there's a whole reason why being called a lawyer is an insult.
Right.
So yeah.
So you're saying you think he's innocent, or you think he did it?
No, I think he did it because he just got it over with and he turned himself in. Oh, sorry, he's innocent because he just got it over with and turned himself in.
Oh, so you think he's innocent?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I mean, it's easy to blame the guy that's in the league because people are just going to believe that it's him more than some random guy off the street.
As far as we know, has Baker ever had any actual legal trouble? I know Noah, you mentioned that he had some attitude issues that were noted, but I know that Dunbar has not had any actual legal issues, any problems with the law. What about, has Baker had any problems, as far as you know, off the field?
I mean, on the field, you could always see him arguing with refs about calls, but I guess it's just every player nowadays. I haven't heard of any legal trouble with him. Maybe when he was younger, but that just goes unreported.
Okay, interesting. So, I find it funny how we have to grasp for straws here. It's like, so have you ever seen him do anything strange behavior? Well, he did argue with the ref. That is a possibility. Then he pulled that gun out because he has argued with the ref before. We'll reach for anything to draw a correlation between A and B because we have nothing to go off of. This whole thing could be completely manufactured. But what still blows my mind in this whole thing is that whether you're Dunbar or Baker, you show up at this party, and if this was the plan all along, or if it just was a spontaneous thing, how could you possibly think you're going to get away with it? Because everybody knows who you are, and so you're sealing your fate by the moment you decide you're going to pull off this heist, which I have a better chance at, going on Grand Theft Auto and making $2 million, doing a heist on there, then these guys could actually pull this thing off. Because how could you possibly get away with it with all these witnesses, faces showing? It makes no sense to me why you would even try to do it. And if you were to try to do it, wouldn't you come up with a better plan? If you were really going to steal this money and try to get $70,000 worth of stuff back, wouldn't you come up with a much better plan that at least has a chance of succeeding than just showing up at a party with your face showing and going, "Give me your money, give me your watches," and then run off thinking, "Hey, we got our stuff"? It just makes no sense. I mean, when you stop and put everything aside, it makes no sense. But then again, we've seen lots of things that don't make sense in the NFL with certain players' behaviors at that same time. So.
You're right.
There's a way I could see that actually playing out, Norb, if you don't mind, because you raise a great point. You talk about the fact that there's no way this was some planned thing. We talked about the parked cars, and we can see how they would just park normally, like you're ready to go anyways, because you're an NFL player. You talk about the fact that Baker wasn't wearing a mask. You're talking about the fact that Dunbar wasn't wearing a mask. It's much more likely to believe that this was kind of a spur-of-the-moment event based on that one person kind of propelled more than another. That's why I'm saying Dunbar might be innocent, is because we've seen things with Baker through college, through high school, through the NFL. Teams have always noted about him. Coaches have said about him, he has an anger problem. Not only does he have an anger problem, he has a maturity problem. So these guys come back to a similar place where they were a couple days prior. And you remember about the couple days prior, he flipped a table and pulled out a gun because he lost a bunch of money gambling. If you're not ready to lose a bunch of money gambling, you shouldn't be gambling in the first place. So I could see it being like a spur of the moment. Like, what if they showed up to this party, they saw the guys that they lost all the money to, Baker's like, nah, screw that. And so the other thing you got to think about is that when you get to the NFL, you don't start doing stupid stuff because you've made it to the top. No, you've been doing stupid stuff your whole life. And so this is something that's built into his DNA through his childhood and how he grew up, I'm sure, because now he gets to the top and it's just he falls back to the old thing when his emotions run high, potentially by running into the same guys he just lost a whole bunch of money to. That's why he starts pistol whipping people around, telling people what to do. And that's why the dude with the red ski mask already had a ski mask on him, was because he might have grown up through that situation.
Yeah, that's a very good point. We have seen plenty of players who have done things that make no sense. If we go, you're an NFL player making lots of money, how could you risk all that? But it happens anyway. Like you said, it's already in the DNA. It was already something they were inclined to do before they had the NFL and before they had the money. And we talk about the Aaron Hernandez thing. I brought that up before, where if you analyze logically, anything that happened there makes no sense. But when you really start to study the story behind it, you do start to understand there's more than just, you don't just go, oh, well, I'm an NFL player making lots of money, so I won't do that anymore. It is much more complicated than that. Thanks, Michael, thanks for the insight. And
by the way. I mean, regardless if he's guilty or innocent, he's just going to be called guilty because, he's in the NFL and stuff like that. And since he has a whole bunch of money, he has good lawyers, so they could pretty much get him out of anything.
Couldn't
Well,
he bail?
Bail, or if he could. So he could get a bail, or if this has to actually go to court, he'll most likely get a pretty good lawyer, and the lawyer will get him out of this.
Well, I don't know. I don't know about that. I used to think that, if you have money, the legal system, you could just buy your way out. But we've seen plenty of guys who've make some bad moves, and they've gone down, and the NFL just swept them under the rug, and they were gone after that. So, well, Michael, thank you so much for your New York Giants perspective. Appreciate that. Let's go to another call. Roger from the 209. Roger, you're on with NorbCam Live. What's up? How you doing?
Hello?
Yes, is this Roger?
No. My name's Gavin.
Oh, I see. This is your caller ID comes out as Roger. What's your name again?
Gavin.
Gavin. All right, Gavin. And where are you calling from?
Trivai, California.
California. All right. What's on your mind? You got thoughts on this case? What are you thinking?
I don't know. Like when I heard he was in this process, I just was shocked. Like I didn't think an NFL player would get away with a robbery. It's just crazy. Like I don't know how this would have happened until I heard about what's his name? Oh, Baker. Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah,
I think we were all shocked by this, and you sound like you're pretty young. Like you're probably Seahawks Martin's age, right? Are you? You're probably.
I'm 11. Yeah.
11. Okay, so you and Martin, you're about a year apart. So what I'm hoping, young men, since you are the future of our society here, I hope you've learned something from this. Tell me, what have you learned just from what you've seen already? Because someday you guys might be some big, I don't know about NFL necessarily, but you will be in a situation in your 20s. You might have a lot of money. You might be running in some, card parties or whatever. What have you learned from this story already? Tell me that's at least anything. What have you learned by watching the news and seeing what has unfolded in the last few days?
You can't do this bad stuff. Like, it's not going to turn out good for your future. It's really what I've learned. So.
Absolutely. Martin, what do you have to add to that?
I think my connection went bad. I didn't get to hear the whole thing. Could you say it again?
I don't know what you missed. I don't know what you missed. But basically, I was asking, what have you learned by watching all this unfold to this bizarre situation that none of us can make any sense out of? What have you learned from all this, Martin, that you can take with you as you, since you're the young ones here, the future of our society, what do you think about all this? What have you learned from all these this situation?
I've learned not to be an idiot when you have a lot of money. And then, you just got to be with the right people. Like, you can't just be with these shady people that just look creepy. If I went to a party, I'd probably either be with my family or my close friends or something, not someone who looks like they would commit armed robbery, I guess.
Yes, I guess for me the big takeaway here is you got to really watch who you run with, because the friends you hang out, the people you associate with, chances are you're going to start falling into the same bad luck as they do the company that you keep, and so you want to have people who are positive and have the same line of thinking as you, because chances are, even if you're not bad and the other person is, and they pull you into a situation that you didn't even really have anything to do with, you can be guilty by association. So you got to just really watch. You got to use your head, got to use your common sense, and hopefully know where to draw those lines. So let's continue. I was just thinking. One thing that troubles me about all this, when I start thinking about the possibility that this was, some kind of conspiracy by people trying to get back at them, and no, this I think still works in your side of the analysis of what might have happened. But I remember in the police statement, there was a guy they called an older guy. I think he was like a coach, and he knew both of them, both Baker and Dunbar, growing up. And he was the one guy who didn't get robbed and didn't get threatened because he knew both of them. But he was there, and his statement was taken and described what we had heard, that Baker had the gun. I believe he's the one who confirmed that Dunbar did not. So it sounds to me like he's one of the more legit witnesses, if he is who he said he was, and maybe that does support that possibility that if Baker did start this whole thing and Dunbar was just sort of forced to go along with it, maybe that is what happened. But we'll find out. I'm sure as the story continues to develop. Let's go to one more call here. I want to go to a local number here from the 253. Satelli?
Hello?
Yes, who's this and where are you calling from?
From Seattle.
You're from Seattle. What's your name?
Paul Stevens.
Stevens? All right, what's your thoughts on this, man?
My thoughts is, I thought Wilson was going to be traded to the Browns. Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about the Russell Wilson rumor about being traded to the Browns for a number 1 pick a couple years ago.
No.
Oh yeah, that's we talked about that. It was an old rumor based on that was kind of brought back up in the last few days. But yeah, no, Russell Wilson's not going anywhere. However, we might talk about if he were to be traded. That would be an interesting thought as to what would that be worth. And maybe this is the time to switch gears here because I think that's a good time to jump into that topic. So, guys, you want to let's switch away from this story. I think we've pretty much talked it as far as we can talk about it. Let's jump into a little hypothetical. Hypotheticals are always fun, right? So, I believe Noah and Cal, you guys talked about on your show if Russell Wilson were to be traded by the Seahawks, what would you need to get an equitable value for trading Russell Wilson? It's kind of like that somebody brought up in the last show that we had. If you could take anybody from any team anywhere without any salary cap, no restrictions, no nothing, you just take your pick of I want that guy and just grab him. It wouldn't happen, but it's fun to entertain. So let's see what you guys talked about. If Russell Wilson were to be traded by the Seahawks, Noah, what would we have to get in return to make that worth our while?
So there's so many different teams we could talk about. So I would like to stick with the Cleveland whole scenario with how they had the first overall pick, and so that was what was on the board. So what it would take to have Russell Wilson, to trade Russell Wilson, right? First of all, you can't just get equity from the draft. You've got to get something that's tangible, that you've seen be successful in the NFL, that you know is going to work, because no matter how many draft picks you get, and no matter how stretched out those draft picks are down the future, there's no guarantee that those picks are going to hit no matter where you're picking. You could be a first overall pick that you bust on. So you have to get at least one tangible, like, star right now. And so that's why when I look at Cleveland, it's interesting. I'm kind of merging some rumors a little bit. I'd say I want that first overall pick. I want a former first overall pick in Myles Garrett. I want another first overall pick, because 2 first overall picks are what go for defensive edge rushers that are about to go get the quarterback. What if I told you I got one of the top 2 quarterbacks in the NFL right now? He's been for many years with the way that he just slings the football, leads. He elevates the rest of the guys around him the way that Russell Wilson does. So I want 2 first-round picks. I want Myles Garrett, and I want a second, at least, if you even want to answer the phone call.
That's quite a load there. Calvin, what was on your list? I think it's fair, though. I think it's fair to ask. Calvin, what do you think?
My list is kind of revised. I kind of changed my stance a little bit. So I want 3 first-round picks. I want Myles Garrett, and then I want a second-round pick. Because with Russell Wilson, a guy like him, being that he's a top 2 quarterback in football, he's untouchable. And because he's untouchable, I wouldn't want to trade him. And I'm sure no Seahawks fan would want to trade him. No package would deliver us the best chance of winning the Super Bowl this season. And so I believe that if we were to really entertain trade offers, they'd have to be offers that are crazy. And so that's the only reason why I'm asking for like 3 first-round picks, Myles Garrett, a future second. I might even add maybe a future third. And so that's kind of where I stand on that.
What about you, Seahawks Martin? What say you?
First of all, I would never, ever trade Russell Wilson because that is the stupidest thing the Seahawks could ever do. But if I let's say I were John Schneider, for example, I would want, and I mean, if like you said, we could have fun with this, so I'd make them give away like their next first round, the next 10 years, take Myles Garrett, and like, because I mean, Russell Wilson is basically worth a ton. Like, I can't just give him one first round pick. That is not enough at all. I would want it for the rest of the 10 years because Russell Wilson is probably the greatest Seahawks player ever lived. There are a ton of more Seahawks players, but I mean, for now, yes, I would never trade Russell Wilson, but if so, 10 first round picks, and probably Myles Garrett or Denzel Ward or something like that. Because we kind of got to work on our secondary.
Yeah, especially now. Yeah, I'm with you. I think we got to get at least 2 first-rounders, maybe even, like you said, Cal, a third. Myles Garrett to get that pass rush, and then probably throw a high-level corner in there as well. But even then, even if they gave me that, I still wouldn't take it. I wouldn't even take that. That's minimum what you got to have. But I think we all expect that Russell Wilson will be a Seahawk for life, right? I think we agreed on that.
Knock on wood.
Knock on wood. But then again, Tom Brady, probably no one ever thought in New England that Tom Brady would ever play for another color uniform, and yet there it is. You know, took a long time for that to happen. What, 19 years? No, more than that. 19 years, 20 years. But
20 years.
You know, that's a little bit of an anomaly right there. But you know, it does make for an interesting discussion. Let me go to the calls. There's a couple more callers in here I want to entertain. Let's get from the 786. What's up? You're on with NorbCam and Calvin, Noah, and Martin. What's up?
Hello?
Yes. Who's this? Actually, I know who this is. This is Lewis, right?
Yeah.
Hey, what's up, Lewis? How you doing? What's on your mind, man?
Not the case, actually. But the Russell Wilson thing, actually, yeah.
Yeah, what's your thoughts?
What would I give for him? I'd probably only take about a few first rounders and Myles Garrett, probably.
Yeah, I think we're all on the same page as that. And of course, it wouldn't happen anyway. But it is kind of the minimum thing that we would need to have. So, you say you don't have any thoughts on this Dunbar Baker case? Have you been following it?
Yeah, I don't have any thoughts on it really. I just think that Dunbar should have the best chance of being innocent than Baker. I think, just like all the guys have basically been saying.
You know what I really want to know? I want to know who this mask dude is. They call him Shy, I think, in the police report. Why was he the only one with a mask on? And did he walk around the party with a mask on the whole time? And did not anybody think that it was odd that one dude was wearing a mask? And no, I think you had some information on that. Was it not like it wasn't a quarantine mask, but it was actually a mugger's ski mask?
Yeah. So it was a ski mask, right? And so what's so interesting about that is it's literally the inverted of what they want during the quarantine. Everything's covered except for your mouth and eyes.
Sorry, that's just funny to me. The thought of this party and one guy wearing a mugger mask and he's going over the nachos, having some dip, trying to get it inside his mouth, but it's getting on his mask because it's like in the way. But nobody thinks it's strange. Like, hey man, how's it going? Hey man, it's all good. Having a bug. That vision just cracks me up. Who is this guy? You got three guys involved, 2 of them NFL players, and who is this dude with the mask? What's his connection to these millionaire NFL players and ski mask dude? Where does he come from? Where does he fit in this equation? I'm dying to know who this guy is. Who is the mysterious ski mask, and how does he fit into this whole equation? He was the one who was instructed to shoot the guy, right?
Oh, yeah. And you got to think, like, okay, so if Deandre Baker and Quinton Dunbar are, they're in the NFL, but they're still not on the level where they need a mask to rob someone. That's got to be like LeBron or Obama, like underneath the ski mask. Like it's got to be somebody so big that nobody anywhere could not recognize them. Like I'm thinking like that's Kanye. It's got to be somebody just big if DeAndre and Quinton didn't need a mask.
Maybe, you know what it was? Maybe those guys were wearing Quinton Dunbar and Deandre Baker masks. And that's how the whole thing got all mixed up. They were wearing player masks, and the whole thing is one big misunderstanding. And it's three guys we don't even know, and these guys had no clue that they were pulled into it because they were misidentified. That could be the story that we're all missing right here. And it would actually line up with the league. That would actually line up with the attorney's statements because they're saying they have signed affidavits. Their clients had nothing to do with this situation. Something to think about. I don't know if they even make a Quinton Dunbar mask. And if they did make one, who would actually buy it? But maybe now people would. Hey, I want to shout out to Jetfire97 in the super chat. He put out a couple out there, and I didn't catch the first one or acknowledge the first one. Second one, he says, "What ends first, Wilson as a Hawk or Pete's gum chewing?"
Oh, wow.
What ends first, Wilson as a Hawk or Pete's gum chewing? Well, I think that Pete's been around for a long time. He's almost 70 years old, right?
Yeah.
I have a feeling that Wilson's got a slightly better chance of lasting longer than Pete and his gum, but I'm just going to go on a limb and say that. But then again, Pete Carroll is ageless, so he seems to outlast most people's expectations. All right, well, thanks for the call, man. I appreciate it. Let's see. There's a couple other calls. Let's see what from the 718. You're on with NorbCam. Who's this? Hello?
Hello?
Yes, hello. Who's this? You're on live with NorbCam. What's on your mind?
I don't know, but I'm just for Quinton Dunbar.
Yeah.
It's just. By the way, I'm just a huge fan. I was like trying to get him. But Quinton Dunbar out. Is it true that I don't know what to say. You can pick someone else. I'm just.
All right. Well, I think you got a little starstruck on the phone there, but that's I understand. I have that effect on people.
I can relate.
I think it's actually funny.
The first time I called in.
I just a little tip for those of you, and there's a couple of you guys on hold. Think about your question now, so that when I go to you, you'll have it ready to go. Okay, that's just a little suggestion. But I appreciate you calling in and watching the videos. So on that note, I'm going to see about Sergio from Vancouver, Washington. Sergio, tell me, you've got a question ready.
Yeah, actually, a quick question.
Yes.
How do you think our season could go if Quinton Dunbar isn't ready to go?
In other words, what would be the net effect on the Seahawks record without Quinton Dunbar? Well, I think that's kind of a multi-level question because it depends how Seattle responds to him not being there. But let's play the hypothetical game, guys. So right now, if I recall, you guys predicted 12-4 pretty much, you guys, right? 12-4 for Seattle going this year?
Yeah.
Let's say they just go, they don't get anybody, they go with Trey Flowers. Where does our record become if they got no backup plan and they just have to go with the de facto status quo? Seahawks Martin, I'm expecting a half glass full answer from you because you believe in Trey Flowers. So what happens if we go back to Trey Flowers? Are we still 12-4?
Of course, I do believe in Trey Flowers. But Quinton Dunbar losing Quinton Dunbar could have an effect on us. I'd say we might lose maybe 1 game, 2 games or so, maybe drop down 11-5 or 10-6. But Quinton Dunbar, considering how good Quinton Dunbar is, I just wish he hadn't gotten himself into all this trouble. But we'll see what happens. I believe Trey Flowers won't downgrade that bad, but I know he has some big time if we want to stay at 12-4. But for now, I'd say we might end up losing 1 or 2 games because of the loss of Dunbar.
1 or 2 games swing. Okay. Super chat Anthony Bain chimes in and says the third robber is Trent Williams. He wanted more money. That would be pretty fun. Okay, Calvin, what happens to the Seahawks sans Dunbar?
I'm kind of with Seahawks Martin. I think we'll probably fall back maybe 1 game. So I'd say we'll finish 11-5 if we have to roll with Trey Flowers as our starting quarterback yet again. I just feel like with as bad as he was last season, there's nowhere to go but up. And I just feel like I'm always optimistic. And so I just feel like maybe he's disappointed in what he did last season. Because let's not forget his rookie year, he was solid. You know, he was a safety coming out of college, a 5th-round pick. No one expected him to play cornerback, and I thought that he played okay, maybe a little above average his rookie season. And so we've seen some potential there. And so we know that he's somewhat decent. He's not a terrible football player. He's still young. He's still learning the position. And so I just feel like he takes a step forward. And so even if he does take a step forward, I still don't think he's as good as Quinton Dunbar. And so that's why I have a sliding back maybe 1 game. But I just feel like next season Russell Wilson's going to play at an MVP level yet again. And I just feel like DK is going to get a lot better. And I feel like we'll have a whole lot of other guys around the team to be able to offset Quinton Dunbar potentially not being there.
All right.
Yeah.
Last but not least, Noah.
So first of all, with Trey Flowers, I think the number one thing he needs to work on heading into the season is his strength. I hate to say it, but I could probably bench more than Trey Flowers right now, and that's a problem because I'm on my couch and he's in the NFL. And so I feel like if he gets stronger, he's more likely to want to run press coverage, get physical with wide receivers more, and stop dropping back. Calvin, you said he played a lot of safety. That's the problem, is he's playing cornerback like a safety rather than a cornerback. And he always drops back and doesn't get physical, doesn't want to play man-to-man. That's the problem. When I said the Seahawks go 12-4 after they got Dunbar, I was projecting that Dunbar has a breakout season. I'm thinking 4 to 6 interceptions. I'm talking about 30 to 50 tackles, somewhere in there. And I think he has upwards of like 6 to 7 pass deflections on the year. I think his anticipation skills were phenomenal. And so now we can't think about it like a step back, but we can think about it like if we hadn't added Dunbar in the first place. So Seahawks 11-5. I agree with both you guys. I think it knocks them back 1 game because I think Dunbar is worth at least 1 game winner in the season.
I'm going to look at it slightly different, but before I do, I want to just acknowledge Ancient Hawk 48. He says, "Who's dumber? Who's dumber? The Seahawks for offering to trade Wilson, or the Browns for declining to get Wilson?" Well, I think the trade offer never actually happened. I think it was just telephone conversations. That's what Chris Sims actually said, that it was. He never actually followed up on what it was. He just said it was a rumor, and that it might have been just sort of trade negotiation talk. So it probably never got to that point. But yes, if I was the Cleveland Browns, and you had a chance to get Wilson, that would be definitely one of the more dumber moves. Then again, they've done a lot of dumb moves over the last few years, so it wouldn't really surprise me. So going back to the record prediction thing, last year the Seahawks were 11-5, and that was with Trey Flowers at the right corner, right? I think the Seahawks are going to be better this year. Mm-hmm. I think they would have finished, minimum 11-5, and maybe if everybody stays healthy, they could be back up to 13-3. Because really, they missed 12-4 by this much, right? So they could have been 13-3 easily last year with a couple of guys still healthy. So I'm going to kind of look that they're going to be healthier this year. 13-3 is very much in the possibility, but they would have been just a notch better with Dunbar than without. So that would move them up to 13-3, drop a game down to 12-4. So their potential is lost by a game, but they'll be a game better than they were this past year. So I think we actually take a step up. Even if we don't get Dunbar, we actually finish with a better record.
Love it.
Take that.
Wow.
Huh?
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So I appreciate the call from Vancouver, Washington. Let's see. Oh, this is it just crazy times in the Seahawks and the NFL. I want to, before we get close to wrapping up in here, I wanted to ask you guys, I was reading a little bit that, we've talked about the return of Marshawn Lynch a number of times. We all have different takes on that. But, they were making comparisons on NFL Network today about who would have a better season if Lynch does return. And supposedly, rumor has it that Lynch is very motivated to come back to the Seahawks in 2020, according to what was Robinson? Who was our former fullback? What was it?
Michael Robinson.
Mike Robb, yeah. Missed the Real Rob Report, by the way. You guys ever watched that? That was the best. That was the best freaking YouTube video gold back when he was doing that show. Anyway, Mike Robb said that and he's close with Marshawn, saying he's very motivated to come back to Seattle in 2020. So, comparisons have been made because, there's a lot of running backs who have aged over the years. A lot of them, once they turn 30, kind of disappear off the face of the earth. But we've had a couple of rare running backs who have proven that wrong. And I think of Adrian Peterson as one. And then there's Frank Gore going into his 16th season as a running back. And, they're kind of making comparisons of, Marshawn Lynch to Frank Gore. And, I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think that Marshawn Lynch coming back, Frank Gore also playing another season, who would have a better season, Frank Gore or Marshawn Lynch? Let's go to Martin.
As much as I would want to say Lynch, I have to go Frank Gore. He's been doing great these past few years, even though everyone's saying, oh, he's getting too old, oh, he's gonna retire soon. But if you look at him, he's one of the top rushers in the history of the NFL in our 100 years or so. Frank Gore's just an absolute legend, absolute beast, and if he doesn't make it to the Hall of Fame, I'm gonna be really surprised. Lynch, yeah, I really do like beast mode, but I had to go with my gut here. I'm gonna go Frank Gore. He just seems like the better player, the better he could last longer, I guess.
Dukes of Hazzard in the Super Chat says he's all in on beast mode, baby. What do you think, Cal?
Oh, I actually disagree with Martin. I'd have to go with beast mode, and here's why. We have all quarterbacks, right? Rashad Penny, I think he's going to start the season on PUP, so he'll be gone for the first 6 weeks. Chris Carson, I think that we're going to ease him back into game action, and so we're going to lessen his snaps. I think DJ Dallas, he won't really have a training camp. And so I think that because he's raw as a running back, he's only played the position for a couple of years, he won't be ready to play too many snaps. And so that leaves Travis Homer, I guess a little bit of DJ Dallas, and I think eventually we'll re-sign Marshawn Lynch. So I think that Marshawn Lynch is going to have, first of all, more opportunity because with Frank Gore, he's playing behind Adam Gase. And not only that, he's playing behind Le'Veon Bell. And Le'Veon Bell, the workhorse back, I feel like he's due for a bounce-back season. And Frank Gore, he's showing major signs of decline. I think he averaged about 3.8, 3.9 yards a carry last season. And there's a reason why he lasted so long into the offseason. And for him to say that, I believe in Adam Gase as a head coach, I just don't see why. Adam Gase hasn't done anything as a head coach. I think, if anything, he stunted the development of a guy like Sam Darnold, who I think has great potential. And look at Le'Veon Bell. He looked terrible last season. And I think that a lot of that has to do with Adam Gase. I think that with Frank Gore being over there, that's a pretty bad situation. And so I think that eventually Beast Mode does re-sign with us, and I think that he has more opportunity. And last season, he was retired for most of the season, and so for him to come in, he scored about, 4 touchdowns in the last
that's true.
games. And so he's definitely going to be there as a short yardage guy for us. I think that he'll have more touchdowns, slightly more yards, and then a better yard per carry. So I'm going with Beast Mode.
Noah, what about you? I know you got a different take on all this. What do you think, Noah?
Hey, so first of all, I thought Calvin made a lot of really good points. I thought Seahawks Martin did as well. where I stand on it, I kind of got to give you a caveat answer. And what I mean by that is, if we're talking about yards per carry and we're talking about who's going to have more yards, I'm giving it to Frank Gore, even though he's in New York with Adam Gase. We look at Marshawn Lynch's yards per carry last year, and it was like 2. It was horrible. He was not getting many yards. We're under the assumption, remember, because I'm not a guy that says I see Marshawn Lynch come back to Seattle. But if he's back in Seattle, you look at the head coaching staff. Okay, first of all, I definitely think Seattle has a huge advantage there. I'm with you, Calvin. I think Adam Gase is a horrible head coach. And in New York, what I would have to say, though, is that Bilal Powell is no longer a New York Jet. He's a free agent. And last year, having Le'Veon Bell on both of my fantasy teams, I watched a lot of New York Jets football snaps. And what I'll tell you is, Calvin, you'll remember this because we talked about it. Like 2 or 3 times per game, there would just be a drive where it's like, no more Le'Veon. It's just Bilal. And Le'Veon would be getting a rest, and they'd have Bilal for the entire drive rather than subbing him in and out. And so what I noticed by that is that they like using multiple running backs. And so if you're asking me about yards, I have to give it to Frank Gore and yards per carry just because of the fact that he's going to be getting more snaps on the field, and they're not going to be scoring as many touchdowns, so there's going to be plenty of yards to gain. Whereas the Seahawks, I feel like the only reason we would bring Marshawn Lynch in the game would be those short yardage situations. So if we're talking about fantasy points, and there was like a certain game where like Chris Carson was injured like during the game, or Rashad Penny was on PUP like you said, that's when you could bring in Marshawn Lynch and just be like, okay, he's only going to have 23 yards in the game. He's going to have 2 touchdowns with those. And so I think Marshawn Lynch definitely has more touchdowns, scores more points, but I think yards per carry and total yards, got to give it to Frank Gore just because their team is much worse.
Nice take on that. I know that you're not excited about the idea of Marshawn Lynch coming back. I won't hold that against you. But, the difference last year was, Marshawn Lynch, last year when he came and he had that very low yards per carry, what was he doing a week before he played his first game? He was out in the parking lot serving alcohol to fans, right? He wasn't even any kind of football training shape as far as, unless he was doing some workouts casually, but he wasn't anywhere near a practice facility. So, we got to keep that in mind as well. If he had a chance to come in for an entire off season and be part of the entire process, I think it'd be a different story. It's a different story, the preparation, separation's in the preparation. He didn't have much time for preparation, so he couldn't really have that much separation, which you need separation to get yards per carry, right? So grammatically, that all adds up in a way that I make a lot of sense, right? All right. Okay, I'm going to go to a few more calls here, and then I'm going to wrap it up with some trivia, which you guys can all join in on. Relatively easy Seahawks trivia, but I'm going to see if I can stump some of my guests here, since I was inspired by your little trivia that you guys do on your show. Dukes of Hazzard. Yeah, there was a couple of super chats. EHEC34 says the scary thing Lamborghini, and Dunbar has one. I'm not sure what that means. Does Dunbar drive a Lamborghini? If so, that's very...
I believe so.
That's very cool.
That seems like what it means from there.
And hopefully when you drive a Lamborghini, you don't need to be stealing people's watches. But again, we'll see what happens. Dukes of Hazzard says, the feeling beast mode added when we were down and out and he returned was epic. And I will not... I totally agree, cannot disagree with how much just the emotional feeling of his presence, how much that lifted not only the team but the community and the 12s and that building when the team was in a really down spot last year. Can't say enough how much that was. All right, so a couple more calls here. Let's go to the 228. Hopefully you got a question ready. What's up? Who's this and where are you calling from?
Yes, I do.
Who's this?
It's a Mississippi area code.
Okay, and what's your name, sir?
My name is Jacob Martin, actually.
Jacob. All right, Jacob. What's up? What do you got?
Yeah, no, it's just like a player. My question would mostly be, if Dunbar is found guilty, and we do drop Dunbar, do you think that we would turn around and say that $3.5 million cap hit and take that and put that towards like Jadeveon Clowney and re-signing him, or towards like signing Everson Griffin or somebody like that?
I guess so. The question is, would Seattle just immediately drop him from the roster, and would we reverse that money and try to take it elsewhere? That seems to be the common view. Calvin, what do you think on that?
Wow, that's a great point. I never even thought of a scenario like that. I think that if that's the case, I feel like we can get both Clowney and Everson Griffin. Just because right now we have about, 16, 17 mil. If we open up about 3, so that'll leave us with about 20, 21. I feel like we can give Clowney maybe 15. And maybe he might have to settle for that. And then Everson Griffin the remaining 6. I think that if we do open up that cap space, we're better off just using it all just because we have the opportunity of getting both of them. But I think that if we do end up keeping Dunbar, then we'll just end up with one of the 2 instead of 2 of them.
Martin, what do you think?
I don't think Calvin mentioned the fact that we also have to pay our rookies, or if so, maybe we already have paid them. But if we do already have, then then I would try to get Logan Ryan in a deal, considering that we have to fill in what we lost with Dunbar, or like Calvin said, we could go with Clowney, Everson Griffin. But I mean, there are some choices out there. But I would be sticking on Logan Ryan, considering that since Dunbar would be gone, we do need another corner, and so I would use the money on Logan Ryan, considering how underrated, how good he is. All
right. Noah.
Well, if we got an extra $3.5 million to throw around, I am accepting donations, but I do think it would go towards one of the guys that we're going to bring in. I think it would definitely go towards Everson Griffin, because I think he's the safest bet for Seattle to bring in the remainder of this offseason. But like I said, Logan Ryan, I think that's where it ends up. I think that would be the guy that, even if he wasn't as much of a target for Seattle, now he should be. And so this is my shout out, because I know Pete Carroll is watching and chewing gum right now. So Pete, please go after Logan Ryan, and also let me know what kind of gum you chew.
I think he chews bubble yum.
Was it bubble yum?
Right?
He's got to get sick of the same stuff, though. It's got to be different. He's got to have a rotation.
But he might, he's very consistent. Might be sticking with what works and not mess around. So it looks like double bubble, but I'm not 100% sure. Jacob, thank you for the call. Let's go to another one here from the 503. What's up? Who's this, and where are you calling from?
Yo,
hello?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. What's up? Who's this?
All right, I'm from Portland, but I live out here in Cali. So
okay. What was your name?
I mean, I'm Shervin.
Shervin, yeah. What's up, Shervin? Yeah. What's on your mind?
Yeah. What's up, man? So with the Dunbar situation, right when I saw the report, I immediately remembered the press conference in the morning, and I watched it with the Zoom meeting with the reporters, and he had such a carefree look on his face. And if he commit an armed robbery 11 hours before that, he's a talented criminal. That's crazy.
In other words, what you're
12 hours before?
Yeah. So what you're saying is you don't see how it's possible he could have done everything he was accused of and then go on a Zoom press conference and act like nothing happened. You're saying there's something more to the story.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think we all feel like
I saw yesterday. Yeah, no. So I was like, damn, he must have other criminal past if he's that, it doesn't bother him at all. Because in the press conference, he was like, I just want to feel wanted. I want to show him my character. Dude went out and commit armed robbery. I don't know if he would be saying all that.
Probably wouldn't want to use.
There's no way he.
Probably want to use the word "wanted" in that context, but
yeah, that's what I'm saying. And he, and he was. If he actually, the way that they described the crime, would he really have the confidence to go on a Zoom meeting with reporters? He didn't think he might have been caught. He thought he got away with it. I don't know.
I agree. It makes no sense.
Either he he might not be fully innocent, but there's no way. Like the way, especially the police department that was reporting on the case, they tagged at Seahawks cornerback Dunbar at Giants. Like what? It kind of seems like they're trying to, milk the case because it's NFL players. So
it's definitely trying to sensationalize things and get some eyeballs on it way before innocent, before proven guilty kind of thing. Well, I hope you're right, because I agree. There's certain things that just don't add up.
So.
That just don't make any sense, and that's one of them. Especially as, like you said, a guy who's never had any criminal past. I think he's got a few outstanding speeding tickets, and that's about it. So to go from that to armed robbery and act as cool as the other side of the pillow, that's pretty. Yeah. That would be pretty smooth on his end for sure. So
and on top of that, what was his projected salary this year? It was like 3.5 mil. Like, he's bad at math if he actually did that. Like, what was it, 70K worth of watches? Why would if you actually commit armed robbery, that's like what, minimum 10 years? He ruins his life. He ruins his career for 70K.
Well, and as we discussed earlier, we did, Noah brought up that good point where if they were already into trouble, if somebody was already into trouble like that, and then they get into the NFL, it's not like suddenly they're just going to not do what they did before. So there is that point where, while for us it doesn't logically make any sense, there has been sillier things that have been done where you've completely thrown away a perfectly amazing lottery ticket of a life for something relatively stupid, but we won't necessarily understand that. But I'm with you. I hope you're right, and I agree. It's very bizarre for sure. So we'll see what happens. But thanks for the call. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
All right, you bet. All right, I'm going to go one more call here, and then we'll do our little trivia action. All right. So this is, I believe it's our friend of the show who's been on here before. Calling for the 605.
This is me.
I recognize
this is Aiden from South Dakota.
I recognize from the volume that it's Aiden from South Dakota. How's it going, man?
Good. How are you doing?
Oh, we are all doing great here, man. Talking about crazy stuff in the news about the Seahawks and entertaining a few hypothetical fantasy ideas in our head as well. What do you got? You got any thoughts on this Dunbar Baker case?
I saw the news guy. He turned himself in, but I have thoughts. But I think he's innocent. I really do.
Yeah, why is that?
I don't think the other one is innocent, though. Is that Deandre Baker?
Baker, is the other one who's, seems to be more of the perpetrator here. So, all right. So, Aiden, you're the trial lawyer in this case, and you're doing the wrap-up arguments for one Quinton Dunbar. What do you say to sway the jury of his innocence? You're on. You've got your 30 seconds. Go. And you can start by saying...
My 30 seconds, I say...
You start by saying, ladies and gentlemen... Sorry. Hold on. Sorry. You got to say it right. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Start with that and then proceed. Go ahead.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, what do you guys predict about Dunbar? Is he not guilty? Let's say Seahawks Martin is the first jury. What does he say about Dunbar?
Wait, whoa. You can't ask a question when you're doing your closing arguments. You got to put the final exclamation point to say why your client is innocent. You can't start your closing remarks with a question asking somebody else to help you out. You got to come here and convince us that he's innocent based on everything we know. So you convince us. Come on, Aiden. Come on, bring it. Channel your inner The Firm and all those legal shows. Convince us why Quinton Dunbar is an innocent man and should be set free so he can play with the Seahawks come game 1. Go.
Okay. What? All right. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, what? I don't know.
Quinton's going, dude, my life's hanging in the balance, dude. Come on, man. Come on. What am I paying all this money for?
Deandre Baker is guilty, though.
Quinton Dunbar is getting 10 years minimum as we speak right now because his lawyer's letting him down right now.
I say he gets released by the Giants.
What's that?
I say Dunbar is free to go.
Well, okay, if you were the judge, I guess that would be a good answer, but all right, well.
I don't know what Crisosimo is going to think about this, but...
Guilty! They're all guilty!
We got Crisosimo, he is saying Dunbar is guilty. Crisosimo is saying, yep.
Give him the chair! They're all guilty! Oh, wait, nobody got killed, sorry.
Norb,
all right.
Norb, you're a culture individual. You remember when the whole OJ scenario happened and Johnny Cochran gave his final speech or whatever, and he said, "Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, if the glove don't fit, you must acquit." I feel like for Dunbar, that line has got to be, "Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, when a gun gets pulled, you do what you're told." And so.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
I like that.
Next thing we should do
That's a good one.
I like
Maybe.
that. I like that one, man. Should write that down and slip it over to the attorney. Say, hey, yo, bro, man. I think we got.
Now.
Oh man. All right. Well, Aiden, you've got some time. You know, I know it's still a ways to go before you go to law school. So I want you to work on your closing arguments practice. You've got a few years to practice on it because, frankly, your clients are going to need a little more help if that's the best you got.
I do the Seahawks Martin. What's your thoughts on this?
Oh, me? Why you putting me in hot water, Aiden?
I thought you were on Skype right now.
And by the way, quick shout out to Dukes of Hazzard. No. Dukes of Hazzard said, "Who's that guy on a little background?" I'm not sure. Is he talking about Seahawks Martin? I'm not sure what that means. No. We got Martin right there. We got Calvin right there. We got Noah right there.
We should do this on a Skype phone call sometime, maybe. Just.
Or maybe you're talking about me in the green. That's me right over here. Yeah. Anyway, I guess Martin, did you have some final thoughts on it before we go to our trivia?
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, and then I'll just put what Noah says, I guess. I'm a Noah wannabe. Now, I just probably just tell them, 5 people say that he's innocent, then I guess he's innocent. I'm not a lawyer kind of guy because I do not like getting in an argument. I can say that.
All right, so we have 2 non-lawyers in the conversation here. All right, I'm going to put you guys on the spot. Noah had a good start there. I want to hear the whole thing. So, Noah, let's test out your legal skills here while I go on an isolated view on just you. Be the attorney. Be the attorney for Quinton Dunbar and tell us why he should be free and why he's innocent of this crime.
It's up to you, Noah.
Well, we've seen what Deandre Baker's had problems with in the past. Talking about he's in high school, college, NFL. He was, once again, I'll remind you guys, he was taken off teams' draft boards. Like, teams looked at this guy, saw his talent, wanted him, figured out about his attitude problems, and said, never mind, he's not even on the board anymore. Like, even if he falls to this level, we're not going to take him. Like, that's how bad people ruled him out. And so you take that guy, and you put him in a situation where earlier in the same week, he lost a whole bunch of money gambling, and he flips the table, pulls out a gun. So obviously he has anger issues. He's willing to do just about anything. We show up to this party. My client didn't wear a mask because he wasn't planning on doing anything wrong. The situation gets heated. You run into the same old guys that you lost the money to. Deandre Baker acts based on his emotions, pulls out a weapon. Quinton Dunbar's just doing what he's told. You can't blame him. If a gun gets pulled, you do what you're told. Quinton Dunbar is innocent. He went on, and we obviously know he doesn't have the greatest poker face because of how much money he lost gambling. So how could he have gone on the next morning onto the Zoom call with Seattle media and acted as if nothing had happened if he had really done something wrong? The answer is he didn't have to because he didn't do anything wrong. He was forced into it, and he is just as much a victim as everyone else.
Wow, that was pretty powerful.
And that is where the jury would say, we, the jury, say Quinton Dunbar is not guilty. Boom. Said and done.
We got to give Calvin a chance to respond. Cal, you want to give one chance to this? That's a tough act to follow, but I want to see if you can do it.
I mean, I might as well. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, Quinton Dunbar is an NFL player. If he was going to rob a place, don't you think he'd wear a mask? And it's already been established by multiple witnesses that he didn't have a firearm on him. And maybe the other day when they were at a house party and Baker flipped out, maybe that's when Quinton Dunbar met him. And maybe they went to this party. Dunbar, he's like, okay, I don't know who he is. Maybe he kind of flipped out the other night, but like he seemed cool for the most part. So I'll go with him to this party. Maybe he didn't know that he had a gun and he planned on going berserk. Maybe he was just there just to chill, and kind of like Noah was saying, maybe he was pointed the gun. Maybe he was forced to do what he didn't want to do. And there was this one report, I think it was 710 ESPN. They were trying to get in contact with a newspaper from Miami, and the people that work at the Miami newspaper, they were talking about how there was like a small report, or they were trying not to arrest Quinton Dunbar. Like they did everything in their power to try to prove his innocence. And I just feel like, once again, his lawyer, or I guess I'm a lawyer, I'm very adamant about this. The 5 witnesses who originally told on him are now flipping their statements. And so maybe they were trying to sabotage his career. Also, Quinton Dunbar, he's on the verge of a huge payday. He's earning, about $3.5 million or whatever you guys mentioned earlier. He was the number 2 ranked cornerback in football last year by Pro Football Focus, and he knows that. He knows that he's in for a big payday. He got traded to Seattle. That shows that there's a team out there that has faith in him. Even if he can't seem to stay healthy, the fact that we traded for him, we have faith in him. And so he has such a bright future ahead of him. Why would he go to this house party and rob it? Knowing that he didn't have a mask on, knowing that he's from the area, he has to be some sort of, I guess, local hero or something like that. Everyone in the area knows him. And so I just feel like he's not stupid enough to do something that's being accused.
That was a good argument.
That was pretty good. You kind of brought it home there at the end. Well, I guess it wouldn't be fair for me not to at least give my chance at it here. Before I do so, I got to recognize Dukes of Hazzard once again in the super chat. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I'm just here so I don't get fined.
Good one.
All right, so I will give it my best shot. I was in the debate team back in my senior year of high school. That's as close as I got to law school.
Okay.
So I did win a share of cases, so let me give it my best shot. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I present to you Quinton Dunbar, a man, an innocent man, victim of very extremely unfortunate circumstances. But let's consider a few things here. First of all, look at the gentleman's track record. What has he done to this point that would give you any indication that he's capable of this type of criminal act? He has never done anything but ran through a red light. Other than that, he has a squeaky clean record, both in terms of the legal system and as well as a football player. Never once has he ever had any issues with the law, with his team, and that is why he was given a very large contract to play for in the Seattle Seahawks, the best team in the National Football League. Why would this innocent man go to a party with the intention of committing this robbery with no attempt to hide his identity, to get money which he doesn't need, and statements? I have 5 statements all saying he is innocent. And in fact, in the original police report, he was the one person in the group who did not brandish a firearm. He's innocent from the moment the police report was filed, and the 5 statements, once again, completely clear his name of any wrongdoing here. On top of that, within just a few hours of committing this heinous crime, he appears on a press conference with the media of the local Seattle area, and not once does he flinch, sweat one bullet, thinking that he had done anything that he had to hide. This guy, who, as my colleague Noah had just so well stated, eloquently stated, he must be bad at poker, because if he had lost all this money that he had to go get back, how could he have such a great poker face during this press conference? None of this adds up. And do you know why this doesn't add up? Because it didn't happen, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. He is an innocent man, guilty only of a bad association with somebody who did have the record, who did have the negative intentions, and who did, in fact, brandish a firearm that witnesses have corroborated their statements and agreed he was the one who not only pulled out the weapon, but instructed ski mask dude to pull out his weapon and fire upon an innocent civilian. I argue that if you're going to punish somebody, you must punish the one who's guilty of the actual crime. And that is not Quinton Dunbar. But it's Ski Mask Dude. Ski Mask Dude did it! It's him! Ah! Thank you. I rest my case. Dukes of Hazzard. Dukes of Hazzard says, dang, Norb, they should hire you as a lawyer. Innocent. Okay, all right. That was fun. Okay. All right, so we're about to wrap things up before things get too crazy around here. I would like to do a little trivia game, inspired by Cal and Noah, who do some trivia on their shows every week. So these are easy Seahawks trivia, and you guys can all play as well. So those of you in the chat can type in your answers. And for you guys, I want to do this so that nobody's got... I trust you guys aren't going to cheat. You're not going to look up the answers, but I also don't want you to be influenced by the other people's answers. So I want you to come up with the answer in your head, and then when I ask you what your answer was, you tell me honestly what it is. Don't steal somebody else's answer. All right? Okay. Where are we here? Okay. I want to ask some Seahawks team trivia. This is super easy. But if it's too easy, I'm going to make it a little bit harder. So... Okay. Question number 1. Who is the Seahawks all-time interception leader? You guys got your answers?
Oh, no.
You guys got it?
Sure.
Martin, go.
Richard Sherman?
Calvin.
Ooh, that's tough. I'm going to go with Earl Thomas.
Oh my gosh, I was so impressed with your trivia knowledge on your show. I thought you would kill this thing, and 0 for 2 so far. Noah, can you salvage this game here?
Well, in all honesty, I was thinking Sherman, so...
Oh my gosh, I thought this was a softball toss, and you guys missed it. Okay, I guess I'm going to have to give you some hints. Let's see. This is a player... was not a member of the LOB.
Okay.
Played during the 80s.
Kenny Easley.
Good guess. He would be number 4 on the list.
It was the guy you talked about last time we streamed. I just can't remember his name.
I don't think we talked about him.
Really?
And I'll give you a bigger
Something
hint.
Brown, right? Something Brown?
There you go, Martin. There you go. Dave Brown.
Oh, I got it.
Dave Brown. And Dave Brown, rest in peace. Dave Brown is no longer with us. He passed away several years ago. But yes, Dave Brown is the lead, the Seahawks leader in interceptions. Now, let me ask you this. Let's see if you can figure out how many interceptions did he have to be the number 1.
For Seattle?
For Seattle. He only played for Seattle, by the way.
Is it... Okay. Interceptions in one season or career interceptions?
Oh, career interception. Take a guess. Get a number in your head. Martin, go.
Somewhere in between 50 and 60.
I need a number. 53. You got to give me a number. You can't give me a range.
Okay, 53, I guess.
Close. Noah.
Oh, wow.
42.
Cal.
60?
Nope, the answer is 50. Dave Brown, Seahawks interception leader, 50 interceptions as a Seahawk.
So close.
You was.
All right, one last question then with regards to the interception side. Which is the only member of the Legion of Boom to make it into the top 5 of all-time interceptions? And how many interceptions did he have? So give me a name and a number. We'll see how close you get. Closest to the pin wins. Martin. Okay,
Sherman.
wait. Get your number. And your player. You got it? Okay, Martin.
Yeah.
Name and number. Go.
Richard Sherman, 48 picks.
Okay, Richard Sherman. That's correct name, wrong number. Calvin.
Oh,
So Sherm, let me say 38.
Close though. Noah.
Richard Sherman, 40.
Richard Sherman, 32.
Oh!
32. Tied with Kenny Easley, who was number 4. I guess technically 4 and 5. The other two on that list, number 2, Eugene Robinson with 42 interceptions. Number 3, John Harris with 41. Earl Thomas was number 6 with 28. Wow. I thought you guys would get that one. I'm kind of disappointed in you guys. Let's see. Did the chat get it? We had some guesses in the chat. Let's see. People were guessing 65, 73, 51, Sherman 41. Nobody got it, though. 32. Good try. Okay, for those of you who are just jumping in, we're wrapping up our show here. We're talking about some just random Seahawks trivia. See if I can stump the band here and stump you guys at the same time. All right, so hey, what's up, Andrew? Late to the show, but we are doing some Seahawks trivia. You guys can answer in the chat. We're gonna do another category here, and this time it is Seahawks rushing leaders. All right, we'll start with the easy one. I think it's the easy one. Who is the all-time leader for the Seahawks in terms of rushing yards? Who is the all-time leader? Don't answer yet. Give me the name and the number of yards. Here we go. Ready?
Yards.
Well, I will give you. Well, we see who's closest. We'll see who's closest.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. I gotta think about that.
Okay, so get your note because I don't want you changing it when you start hearing the other people's answers. All right. Name the player and the number of yards to be the number 1 all-time Seahawk rusher. Here we go. You guys ready? You got it? You got it? Martin, you ready?
Yeah, I think I'll go. I'm kind of divided because you mean like all time, like even with different teams, or just as a Seahawk?
Just as a Seahawk.
Okay, then I'm going with Sean Alexander because I mean he's a legend.
And your?
I don't think he lasted that long. Let's say 10,000. No, I feel like that's too much. 7,500. 7,500, I guess.
This is kind of like The Price is Right. It's kind of like the game we're playing here. Okay, so all right. So you say Sean Alexander 7,500. Calvin, you.
Let's go beast mode 8,200.
8,200. Noah.
I was thinking Alexander, and I was thinking 9,000.
Ooh.
I think Noah would be the closest. It is Sean Alexander with 9,429 yards. That is the all-time rushing yard leader for the Seahawks. All right, no cheating, you guys. No cheating.
Googled it, yeah.
I know people are. Someone guessed it. 9,429 exactly. Come on, no cheating over here. Okay, now we're gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna ask you the same thing again, but this time it's running back most touchdowns as a Seahawk. Okay, so get your mindset here. Player and number of touchdowns. There's a 2-part to this one. Okay, tell me when you guys are ready.
So are you counting receiving touchdowns?
No, this is just rushing touchdowns.
Just rushing, okay.
Okay, you guys ready?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll go in the usual order. Don't change your answer. Okay, Martin, go.
God, this takes forever. I think Marshawn, considering that he's had a lot of 10-plus touchdown years, maybe 47.
Beast mode with 47. Okay. Calvin.
Oh, this is for the entire career, or for an entire career?
This is for as a Seahawk.
Oh. Okay, let me. Wow. I guess Sean Alexander with. Let me go with 67.
67.
wow.
Okay. Noah.
No, I reacted like that because I was literally gonna say Sean Alexander was 70.
Oh.
Whoa.
Is that are you sticking with that?
I'm sticking with it.
Okay. The correct answer for the Seahawks all-time touchdown.
Wait, I'm sorry. Wait, because this Price is Right, so let me just up him by 168.
Okay. The correct answer to the Seahawks touchdown rushing leader is Sean Alexander with 100 rushing touchdowns.
Oh, wow.
100 rushing touchdowns. So that is Noah. Noah wins that one. Now I'm just making it one more interesting. Let's take this one step further. Who do you think is number 2 on the list, and how many touchdowns did he get?
I feel this might be a trick. Maybe someone in the old days.
You guys got an answer?
Yep.
Okay, Martin, you ready?
I think I'm gonna go with. I feel like this might be a trick that could send us back to the old days. So I might go with Kurt Warner. You got to Kurt Warner's a QB. No, there's another Kurt Warner. His name started with a C.
That's right.
How do you know this? Like, how do you know?
I know.
I have a lot of books.
He was one of the best running backs. Yep, definitely in the 80s.
Yeah.
Okay, so Kurt Warner, give me a number. We know it's going to be less than 100 because 100 was the top.
64.
Okay, Calvin.
Let's go with Beast Mode 82.
Noah.
So it's crazy. We're all doing different running backs. I say Chris Warren.
Oh.
With 60.
All right, the correct answer. And at first I got to give you guys props because y'all hit players who were in the 3 behind Sean Alexander. So you guys were all on the right track. But the correct answer, number 2 on that list, Marshawn Lynch with 58 touchdowns.
Oh, wow.
So Calvin got the closest. You went a little over, but I won't hold that against you because at least you picked the right guy. You said 82, but he had actually 58. So good guess, though, on Kurt Warner. Kurt Warner was actually, you were really close to that. He was number 3 with 55 touchdowns. You guessed, Martin, Kurt Warner for 64. That's a good guess. And then Chris Warren, not a bad choice, number 4 on the list with 44 touchdowns. So you guys are really close. Dukes of Hazzard says in the super chat, Seahawks Martin knows more than most. I'm impressed. Martin, the walking encyclopedia. The walking encyclopedia. The youngster.
That's our future.
We're in good hands. I think it could be a future president sitting in the midst here.
Right.
Okay, we're going to do one more here, and we're going to go back to the defensive side of the ball, all right?
This is fun.
I want to ask you guys, of the Seattle Seahawks, who is the sack leader, all-time sack leader, and how many sacks did they get? Okay,
we
so
did this on the show.
Sure.
What? You guys did?
Sure, but
Wait, Noah, you guys did this?
We did this on the show. I asked him who the sack leader was. I'm going to see if Calvin remembers, but I know who it is.
On the Boelt, you guys did?
I know.
Okay, all right. Well, that's fine. Thanks for letting me know. Not cheating and, sneaking one by me. Okay, well, then you guys already have your answers set. Oh, I need to go check out the chat. Did anybody get close to that? We had some guesses. We had a guess at Lynch at 51. That was pretty close.
Okay.
Solstice Beat was close. Elena was close with Lynch at 66. Just a little bit over. Good guesses, though, here. Andrew, Nick Ballore. Eddie Lacy. Yeah, right. All right. Here we go. To the question now. I guess, Martin, you go first. Who is the all-time sack leader for the Seattle Seahawks, and how many sacks did he get?
Cortez Kennedy, 80. What? I feel like it might be a little higher. I'm going to go 91.
Cortez Kennedy with 91. Okay. Now the big question here is, Cal. Does Cal remember from your previous show, since you actually asked this question of him, Noah? Let's test his short-term memory. Calvin, who was the sack leader for the Seattle Seahawks, and how many sacks did he get?
Wait, it wasn't on today's show, right, Noah? I definitely.
What difference does it make?
Nah, bro.
All right, I think it was Chris Clemens.
Ooh, okay.
At what, like 78?
Wow, Noah's thinking that.
Okay.
I'm gonna put the number low just because I know the player's right.
Okay.
So I'm gonna say 60 total sacks, Jacob Green.
Okay. 60. You definitely did put the number low. You had the right player, though. Noah's correct. The all-time sack leader for the Seattle Seahawks was Jacob Green, number 79, with 97.5 sacks. Almost got to the century mark, 97.5. So, Martin, you were pretty close. You said Cortez Kennedy. He was number 4 on the list, and he had 58 sacks.
Whoa, okay, I guess way too high then.
And Calvin, you said Chris Clemens. He was on the list at number 8. He had 38 sacks, however. So at least you were in the top 10. I'm a little disappointed that your memory didn't kick in when from your memory of the show talking about that. Raises some questions there. All right. Well, that was interesting. That was very interesting. That was fun. I'll have to get some more questions try to trick you guys. But, man, I'm impressed. You guys all, I would not have, if I didn't know these answers, I think I would have missed every single one of these by far. But anyway, we'll have to do more trivia in the future. But for now, I think that reaches the end of our show. Again, I want to thank our guests here, Noah, Calvin, and Seahawks Martin. Thank you guys for always being a part of the broadcast. Again, let me give you a chance to tell everybody who's watching where they can find your own content. Starting this time, we'll go with Martin and work our way counterclockwise. So, Martin, you first. Tell everybody where they can look you up and what you're about.
Everyone knows my channel is called Seahawks Martin. It's literally on the screen, somewhere like down there. And well, I just talk sports. Pretty much 100% football. Obviously, my name is Seahawks Martin, not Manners Martin or something like that. I'm just a 12-year-old who just loves sports way too much. As you guys heard, my nickname is like the walking football encyclopedia. Subscribe to my channel if you guys like Seahawks and you guys hate what analysts say about the Seahawks. And well, I guess that's it.
All right. Seahawks Martin. You can find his YouTube channel. Look up Seahawks Martin, or the link is also in the description. And then Calvin.
So I'm gonna let Noah get into the Boelt, but you can find us on YouTube at DJ Squabo. So DJ SQUABO for Noah. He posts videos daily. He just dropped them this morning, so be sure to check it out. I post videos every week at Steezy A Smith, SteezyASmith. Links will be in the description. And real quick, I just want to shout out Tyler Parcher. This is for you. So I can't forget that. Floor is yours, man.
All right, Noah, take us home.
Hey, man, Calvin covered the base with the YouTube channel, so I'm going to just tell y'all about the show we do. I host a show every morning, or every Saturday morning from 10 to 1. Calvin is on the show. We're going to get Seahawks Martin on there because I feel like he could probably beat Calvin and the rest of the trivia section. So I really want to bring him on the show. Sorry about my dog in the background, but it's every Saturday from 10 to 1 on the KGRG app. If you missed the show or you're not free during that time, maybe you're working, you can listen at any time on the podcast at our SoundCloud. Link is in the description.
All right, there you go, guys. So go check out their content. They have great stuff, and I always appreciate having you guys on here because you guys make me look smarter. So thank you for joining the show today. Thank you to all of you who called in, everybody who chimed in on the chat, especially on the super chats, and for all of you who just wanted to watch a little bit of us bantering here and making fools of ourselves. We had a good time doing so. So thank you for watching and for your guys' support. Appreciate it very much. All right, until next time, guys. We'll see you later. Go Hawks.
Take care.